I'd like to call to order the Pickering School Building Committee meeting. Roll call, please.
Mayor Nicholson,
Present.
Brian Castellanos, he's not here. Superintendent Ruggiero,
Present.
Diana Charcutis,
Present.
Flory Makua, he's not here. Jessica Gerardo, Jim Ridley,
Present.
John Ford, Joe Smart,
Present.
Karen Miller,
Present.
Kevin Ritterhouse, I think he said he would be absent. Lauren Drago,
Present.
Lorraine Gately,
Present.
Michael Bertino,
Present.
Michael Donovan,
Present.
Molly Cohen,
Present.
Peter Koulikides, Rich Marlin,
Present.
Rick Starbird, Tom Mannion, Mayor McGee, Wayne Losey, and that's it. Okay, I'll share my screen. 1 second. Can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm going to put it in slideshow mode and we'll get started. Welcome everyone to the school building committee meeting. On the agenda tonight, we have a few administrative actions, the approval of the April 24th meeting minutes, a quick project budget update, and an update on the construction manager at risk procurement process. I'll then turn it over to the designer for their design update on the facilities assessment subcommittee that we had this morning. A quick overview of this next phase, the schematic design and the design progress to date. And then we'll quickly review the schedule and then open it to other business or discussions. First on the agenda is the approval of the April 24th, 2023 meeting minutes.
Motion to approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you. Next is an update on the feasibility study project budget. We have expended 55% to date and committed 93%. And we are approximately 55% through the feasibility schematic design process. Currently, this is a quick cash flow, and you should see these. Oh, sorry. You should see all of this in the monthly report that I believe Tim sent out to everyone. But as of right now, our cash flow is tracking on average below our projections to date. Tim, if you want to give a quick update on the CM procurement.
Sure. So we met last week, I believe on Thursday. The construction manager selection subcommittee met to review the 6 statements of qualifications that we had received. After deliberation, the motion was made to qualify all 6 firms. So what that means, go back a second, Lynn. Just one quick update. As of a half hour ago, it's down to 5 firms. WT Rich called and said they would not be submitting a proposal for the project. So that leaves us with Bond, Consigli, Gilbane, Shawmut, and Suffolk. So you know, there is a formal process to this. You know, you don't really have to get into the level of detail on the right hand. It's more just to give you a picture of what we review. For a CM to be qualified and move to the second phase of procurement, they must meet all the established criteria. So basically, we in the RFQ, the request for qualifications, we have very specific criteria that they must meet, financially, staffing wise, schedule wise, etc. And here's the criteria on the list. I won't go through all of them. All the firms met these to an acceptable degree. Obviously, on some like lawsuits, there may be some firms have more pending lawsuits than others. Other than that, all of them could handle it financially, and we were familiar with most of the people on the teams, so we've worked with them before. On May 10th, the project received approval. So basically, the first step in the process before you even qualify the firms, you need to submit a application to the Inspector General's office for approval. Before you can basically before the contract with the construction manager can be executed. So we received that formal approval on May 10th. On May 11th, the committee met to pre-qualify all the firms to proceed to the next phase. So basically what happens now is they submit, I believe it's June 1st, it's due. They have to submit proposal, and then we will schedule interviews that are that if you see they are currently scheduled for Monday and Tuesday, June 5th and 6th. We will interview the CMs that submit proposals. We also this past Monday held a pre-proposal conference at the existing Pickering school, where we had about 20 people, 20 folks from each of the total from each of the firms there to tour and ask questions about the project.
We've received a few comments on schedule. So the design team and the OPM, we're going to meet to review that, because the schedule is tight for this project. So we're going to review that and make a response prior to the proposals being received from the CMs. We also will be developing a list of standard questions that are pertinent to the Pickering project for the selection committee to ask. We will put out an agenda so that we make sure that all CM firms that interview, address the issues that are most important for us on the Pickering project. So we'll be taking care of all that in the next week here, and we'll share that with everyone. And so in getting down to the end, after the interviews, the technical proposals are ranked, the interviews are ranked, and then after both of those occur, we open the price proposals and do a comparison of the price proposals, and then we'll rank the price proposals as well. And typically the technical proposals are weighted at about 25% of the overall score. The interviews are typically 50%, and the price proposals are 25%. And that should get us to a mathematical result in terms of the best CM for the project. With that, does anybody have any questions on the CM procurement process? Okay, then I'll turn it over. I believe Jean is out tonight, and Steve Watchorn is going to take over this section.
Yeah, sorry, Jean couldn't make it to the meeting tonight, but we wanted to give you an update on, we met with the facility assessment subcommittee meeting, group from the MSBA this morning, and some of their comments, they looked over our submission. They were very pleased to see this project progressing, very happy for the city of Lynn to be at this point in the project. They appreciated and they could see all the thought put in the project so far, the educational programming, everything that we went through to get this preferred option on the table here. They had Matt Denninger from DESE to discuss some of their special education goals, and we're going to be looking at some of their comments in the next schematic design phase. But one thing that they look for is an immersive and dispersed program throughout the building. So not only throughout all floors and all the clusters, but on each floor, that we don't have just a wing dedicated for special ed. So that's something we'll be looking at further. The floor plans, again, they were appreciative of the organization given such a tight site constraint. They commented that it's really should be centered around the user as they navigate their way through the building, that they don't want to see it to be a maze. And, we'll be looking at some strategies such as transparencies, in the wall systems, and, making those central corridors, a lively and, organized space. They, looking to provide more internal transparency, like I said. They appreciated the character and the scale, and, in the next phase, they'd be looking for us to, integrate some more facade expressions, a lot of what you see on the Thurgood Marshall, into this design, understanding that this is just a concept at this point. And then they had some comments on the project budget and operating expenses, but overall, it was a very good meeting.
Well, I will note that they wrapped up by saying they would be making a recommendation to the MSBA Board of Directors to approve this project to proceed into schematic design. So that was what we were hoping to achieve. Steve, do you want to go through this, or do you want me to?
Yeah, no, I can talk about this. So the next phase, the schematic design phase, which we're looking at submitting to the MSBA on August 30th, is going to include, as I mentioned, DESI. There's actually a special submittal that we be preparing with the district. MSBA submits it on our behalf and gets comments back from DESI. That's going to be something that we'll be looking at pulling together in the coming month. A summary of the preferred option and the proposed project, just more development of that. Again, overview of the local actions and approvals process, and the process revolved around outreach to the community. That's going to be in this as it has been on previous submittals. An updated district's total project budget. As Lynn and Tim discussed, the selected construction delivery method, the CM at risk method. Responses to the MSBA's PSR comments, which we have not received yet, but we're expecting those comments back shortly. And then the final design program at the schematic design level is going to include, a final education space summary. So, a final ed plan and space summary, and how those spaces are laid out in the building, and what the building systems and characteristics are. Be looking at more site development and sustainability in the design. So we'll be including all of those in this submission. Like I said, finalizing the floor plans. We're going to be meeting with an educational working group on our weekly Thursday meetings over the next month to review, the overall building layout, but also as part of the submittal, there are room data sheets that, discuss everything from equipment, finishes, what's the overall character of the space, of each of the spaces. Finalizing the site plan. So we are talking about scheduling additional geotechnical borings, because if you recall, the previous borings that were done were down in the field. There was only one shallow boring that was conducted up on the Sisson School Ground site. So we'll be ready to discuss those next steps with you shortly. And, defining the Sisson play area scope, is the site currently that's devoted for those playground that is a hard surface play area? Are we looking at developing any other playground amenities, structures as part of that? And then the floodplain management and on-site vehicular circulation. Regarding the floodplain management, we're still designing this building as if there's going to be a floodplain throughout much of Magnolia Field. So there will be some compensatory flood storage designed on site. selecting the mechanical system, there is a new stretch energy code out there, so it's defining those building systems that will be needed to meet the stretch code, not just for mechanical, but the windows, triple glazing, what's the insulation of the wall, the building envelope system, and also the lead scorecard. I think we'll be wanting to set up a Zoom charrette to discuss the scorecard. We submitted a scorecard as part of the previous submittal. Achievable, lead credits that we could get on this project, but we want to just dive into that a little bit deeper with you. And then finally, finalizing the site permitting, which is such a big thing on this project, including the Article 97 and MEPA permitting. Lynn, I don't know if you have anything to add, but that's pretty much what we got.
Yes, we've got a lot coming up over the next month, and I know summer's going to be hard with vacations and whatnot, but I did want to note that Flory and Kevin Ritterhouse both joined us while Steve was presenting. So just quickly to kind of review what we have for important meetings coming up. For our June 14th meeting, we'll be reviewing some of the things that Steve just went through, mostly how far we've progressed on schematic design. And then we will be anticipating the MSBA Board of Director meeting, approving the preferred schematic report on June 21st. Again, July 12th will be set to review more of the progress on schematic design. And then by that, right after that meeting, we'll start to get everything ready to send out to estimators. So that we'll be reviewing the final design and site layout on the July 25th meeting. I think there's a conflict here from the words 25th to the chart that says 26, but I think that the meeting is actually the 26th. So we'll fix that in the presentation. But after that, we will start the cost estimating process and be prepared to review and approve cost by the August 9th meeting. Then we'll compile the schematic design report, get it out to everyone, and we'll be submitting the budget based on approvals at the August 9th meeting to the MSBA on August 16th. We are required to submit a project budget notification 2 weeks prior to submitting the schematic design. As I said, we'll get the draft schematic design submission out to the SBC in advance of the August 23rd meeting, which will be asking for approval to submit the schematic design. We will submit the schematic design submission on August 30th. And this will be in anticipation of MSBA Board of Directors approval of schematic design on October 25th. This is the schedule that we have outlined. We do have some concerns with the schedule, and at some point we may have to decide to push this out. The biggest concern being, being ready to get through the Article 97 process in time, and to know where we are with that process. So over the next couple of weeks, we will be looking closely at the permitting schedule and determining whether or not we can meet this August 30th submission date or not. Flory has his hand up. Flory, do you have a question?
Yes, for Stephen. What's the sustainability goal that we have on this project? Are we shooting for any lead in particular, golds, platinums, or if we have any sustainable consultant on the project on your side as a sub consultant?
So right now it's a LEED certified building. We're not looking for gold or platinum, but we'll be looking to achieve as many of the credits as possible. So we just got to go through them, all of them, one by one, and see what's possible. Some of them are going to be easier than others. Some of them are going to be more expensive than others.
So we're not required to achieve any certificate, pretty much.
Well, we have to be 20% above the energy code. And typically that gets us to LEED Silver in order to get 2 additional reimbursement percentage points. However, the city of Lynn already hits the max number of 80%. So we will not be able to achieve another 2% from the state.
But we do have a consultant under RDA, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So just a quick look at the overall timeline here. As I said, we're going to be taking a deeper dive into this schedule over the next week prior to the CMs providing their proposal to us, mainly because the timing of all of this, even if we start early packages right after the 60% construction documents, we have left ourselves with 26 months for construction. And I know that there is some concern here that all of this is going to fall properly in order to get us to a September of 2026 school opening date, but we do have the mid-year opportunity as well. But we're going to be looking a little closer at this. And then once we have a CM on board, we'll be really diving into it to determine from a construction perspective what makes sense and what we can do. I mean, a lot of things that we have to concern ourselves with are the long lead times that we're seeing on various electrical and HVAC equipment and whatnot. So I think that it will be advantageous to us once the CM is on board to really dive into what it's going to take from a construction perspective in terms of overall schedule. So that's where we're at currently, and we will be, again, like I said, reviewing this a little bit deeper, and we'll also be asking the CMs in the interviews what their opinion of our schedule is. Does anybody have any questions? Tom?
I
You're
just
on.
want to ask if the CM can also be the GM. Can ultimately the construction manager become the general contractor on the project?
Lynn, you're on mute.
Sorry. The CM they are the ones that are responsible for all the subcontractors. We have to publicly advertise and procure all the file subbids contractors. But yes, they do manage both the subcontractors and the file subbidders as well, trades.
Okay, so the CM is actually going to be
Managing the job.
ultimately the general manager of the whole project. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Correct. Rich, Marlon?
Two quick things. One, I saw something in State House News that they're about to update the stretch code. I'm not sure exactly when, but it's coming within the next couple of months. I assume somebody is looking at that. I don't know if it impacts us at all. I couldn't understand any of it. And then
Yes, there's a new code. It's called the opt-in
right.
code that basically means that the building is net zero energy. It will be up to the city to determine whether or not they will adopt. This is in addition to the stretch code. It goes the extra mile. So it'd be up to the city to decide whether or not they're going to opt in to this code. So that we will go through that when we go, have our sustainability charrette we'll look at the implications of that and talk to the city about whether or not they intend to go this extra mile and opt into the net zero energy code.
And when we're doing the geothermal boring, is that just for the structure, or are we looking at potentially doing geothermal for heating this project?
Right now, it's just for the structural foundations and
Okay.
boring for that. It would be another type of, it would be a test geothermal well if we were decided to go forward with a geothermal system.
Thank you.
Lorraine?
Lynn, what is FAS? What does that stand for?
It's called Facilities Assessment Subcommittee. And it's composed of members from MSBA, but also other members such from DESE, outside architects and engineers. It's a group of people similar to the designer selection panel that meets to review it from a third-party perspective, what we have presented, and to along with the MSBA's project management staff, they also make a recommendation to the MSBA board of directors to approve our project during the board meeting.
Okay, because I hopped in on one and then I hopped right out, but so we're looking good at this point.
Yes, we have already received the MSBA's project management staff's approval to move forward. Today, we just received the facilities assessment subcommittee's approval to move forward, and they're both making those recommendations to the board of directors, and we anticipate at that June 21st meeting for them to give us the approval to continue forward.
Very good. Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
I'm just going to share a very brief update on some of the financing conversations we're having. As you all are aware, we continue to have some real concerns about the finances for the project. We spell that out in detail in the city's proposed budget that's now with the city council, and also have, of course, raised it with a lot of different stakeholders at the state level. We have had, I think, really helpful conversations with, as I've mentioned in the past, with the treasurer and the MSBA and DESE and Executive Office of Education and the legislature and so on and so forth. Our state delegation has been terrific. The city council has also been really helpful in sending a letter. And the school committee, the Lynn School Committee also unanimously sent a letter as well, which was really helpful. Today we sent a letter with a coalition of 14 other cities in Massachusetts, gateway cities, making this point to the state, directed addressed to the lieutenant governor, because she's the liaison in her role to cities and towns, but copying the various state stakeholders as well. And I think we are being heard, and I think more folks are noticing that there's a real problem here, and so continue to be optimistic that we're gonna get the support we need, but it's sort of an ongoing push, and I just wanted to keep you all abreast of that. Or is that your hand?
Yes.
Yes, my question is to you, Mayor Nicholson, on the land swap. Any update on that you want to share? In terms of, if we're gonna take part of the land and if we're gonna swap to where the dog park is, if you have any update on that.
Yeah, I think that effort is ongoing. Mike, is there any specific updates there at this point?
Yes, we prepared the A&R plan, essentially a subdivision plan showing the amount of the land that will be cut out on Parkland Ave. And that at some point in time, once we finalize the property plans of Magnolia, will be sent to the Conservation Commission and the Park Commission in regards to the Article 97 vote to swap the land at the Magnolia Park for the land at the Parkland Ave site. That should be happening hopefully in a month or so.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Wonderful. Well, today was a major step forward in with the FAS review. Thank you again to the product team and to all of you for moving this process and this project forward so far with such great urgency and thoughtfulness. I think we're in a great position. We got a lot of work to do, but I feel like just want to say thank you to all of you for all your help so far. With that, we would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night,
Thank you,
everyone. Thank you
everyone.
so much.
Good night.
All right.